because man's task is to make the earth after the model of heaven. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Man's project is to heavenize the earth. Man is made to transform the world from glory to glory, to take hold of it and break it down and remake it after the image of heaven.
Welcome back to the Reformed Reset. You've got us on the road. My name is Grant, and I am joined with my beautiful wife, Ericha, the weaker vessel.
Hello, everyone.
And if you want to get to know more about the Reformed Reset, we're part of Take Hold Studios. You can go to takeholdstudios.com and you can look up the Reformed Reset in your podcast catcher.
We have another podcast coming very soon. Like, not us, but like another podcast joining Take Hold Studios.
Exactly. Someone coming under the umbrella. So I'm not going to announce it. You may already know who they are. They put out great stuff, and we're really happy to be able to be a hosting platform for them, an additional outlet for them to get out their content.
So look back for them.
Yep. So stay tuned. We really want to encourage you guys to go check out the merch store on Teespring. So if you look up...
Meaning T-E-E.
Yeah, T like t-shirt.
Teespring.
Not like drinking tea.
Yeah.
Teespring. We set up a merch store on there. We have Take Hold Studios merch. And we also have...
some fun, cool other stuff. My very famous... Systematics Submission Sourdough and Saplings crewneck sweatshirt can be purchased.
And
I've had several ladies ask me where they can get one, so you can get one on Teespring.
There you go. And so go check that out. Just look up Take Hold Studios on Teespring or Take Hold Studios Teespring in your little Google box.
I feel like you need to enunciate Take Hold Studios.
Yeah, Take Hold Studios. Hold.
Sometimes it sounds like you're saying Tickled Studios.
Don't look up Tickled. This
word is very bumpy, I feel like.
Yeah, listen, if you just look away, avert your eyes if you get motion sickness too easily.
Anyways, lots of cool stuff. Sorry you've been out of the rhythm of producing content recently. We bought a house, which was huge for us.
Yeah.
First time homeowners, and so we're super stoked on that.
Yeah.
She's
God
a beaut,
is so
y'all.
Good. What?
She's a beaut.
I know, the house is gorgeous. God is so good that He gifted us this thing that we would have never imagined.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's 156 years old.
Yep.
So super filled with character and quirks.
And in great condition.
And she is beautiful. Right? The person we bought it from just took such great care and kept updating the home throughout the years, and it's awesome.
And that's what made it so cool, is that it's
blessed.
super old bones, but the flesh is new.
He knew how to paint a pig.
That's right. What a way to put it.
There you go. That's what I tell myself every morning.
I don't, though.
Someone asked me to tell the story about the picture that I had posted on Facebook.
Oh yeah, Jennifer Lokeen did.
Did she? Okay.
Yeah, faithful listener.
So on my personal Facebook, which you can find me, Ericha Van Brimmer.
Hey, hold on. Before you do this, because I'm thinking of faithful listeners.
Yeah.
I'm going to set up our Patreon because I know...
I think I got a bug.
Great. This will motivate me to finish the setup. It's there, but we need to finish setting that up for you guys. If you want to faithfully support us, we want to put out exclusive content and be able to interact more with those who want that. And so we're going to set up the Patreon. I'm going to say it here and now so that way it'll force me to go do it. So anyway, it'll be patreon.com. We'll put out the link on Facebook and social media and stuff so you guys can know, because I don't know if I can put the whole Take Hold Studios on there. So anyway, Patreon will be coming and we'll announce it. There, I've said it. It will happen.
Okay.
And then, so you posted a picture.
So I posted several pictures of our house, our new house, on my personal Facebook. And there was a photo. It's a photo of a photo. It's actually this like really cool framed piece of art that I had found when we moved to Maine initially. I think like a week after we got here.
Yeah.
And we were at an antique store. I want to say it was an antique store. It could have been a Goodwill. I love thrifting and all that sort of thing, so there's no telling where I actually picked it up. But I remember looking at it and instantly loving it. It's like printed or painted on a piece of cloth that is then framed. And it was just so unique, and it's of an old home.
New England.
Like a New England style home. And I just thought it was so quaint, and I was new to the area, and it just kind of, I don't know, I loved it. I just fell in love with it. So I bought it. It was probably all of $3 or something. And we fast forward a couple months later, we purchased this house that we're in, and I looked at this it's not even a photo, it's not like a photograph. I looked at this painting or whatever it is, and
it's a masterpiece, let's be honest.
And it looked just like our house, and I was like, oh my goodness, I bought this photo like not even knowing that this was going to be my house someday, but literally like it's uncanny.
It's eerily similar to the house we bought.
So apparently I liked it. So Andre, you're calling me. I'll call you back. Apparently I liked this house.
Yep. And then it got into your head and you didn't even realize
and then
it.
I was looking for that house and nothing else would do. And I ended up buying that house. So there you go. That's the story. It was just kind of a cool, weird thing that happened. Yeah.
We got to maybe share a picture from a different angle of the house or something. But anyway, I remember you telling me, babe, and I like ran in there. And you're like, this is our house, pointing at it, and we had just, our offer was just accepted, and so we're thinking about it. It was just one of those like funny things that God does, just because He loves you, and it just blesses you, Right.
Like you like this framed artwork, and then you buy it, $3, hanging on the wall, don't think much of it, and then like 8 weeks later, you buy a house that looks just like this picture that you had bought. It's just cool. That's all. Super cool.
We're not Pentecostal. It wasn't a sign.
No, because we had bought the house before I even noticed. But
you know how people do that though, right?
Yeah.
But it was really cool.
I mean, believing in signs is more James Jordan than it is Pentecostal.
That's symbols.
Right. Well, that could be a symbol.
This is like God speaking through the, bird on your porch or something.
Listen, if you hear birds talking to you on your porch, you need to go get some real help.
Don't do it. So there you go. So there's the cool little story of our thrifting and, our thrifting addiction. Is that right? Call it a thrifting addiction?
It's not an addiction.
Our thrifting love.
It's being responsible. It's being sustainable.
Nice.
Stewarding the things that God has given us to the max.
And how that habit of ours connected with the house God.
Anyway, I just told Jennifer that I would share that story. So it's not that impressive of a story, really. It's just kind of ironic. That's all.
It's cool.
So today, we are on our way to Bangor, and we thought, let's redeem some time because we've been super busy lately.
Yep.
And so we are going to podcast while on the road, and we're going to do a little rewind. We were just talking about how crazy things are in the world right now, and in case you've been living under a rock, there are weird things happening everywhere. In the state of Maine, in particular, we were just protesting at the Capitol building because our governor is making it mandatory for all medical professionals and non-professionals, meaning a janitor at a dentist office, if you work in the medical world at all, in any capacity, you must have a vaccine, and there are 0 exemptions. None.
And that's the startling part, is that there are 0 exemptions. No.
It doesn't matter if you've had COVID before. It doesn't matter if you have an underlying disease that makes it impossible for you to get the vaccine. It doesn't matter.
Or religious or conscience
It doesn't matter if there are 0 exceptions to the rule. Maine is a very old state as far as
average
populace.
Yeah, average age is high.
Which means that the majority of our population is going to need more medical care just because of their age, their advanced age. Also, we are one of the scantest populated states
for medical care. Right.
Well,
you mean
in
population
general,
in general. Yeah,
population in general, and
Right.
then medically, because we have such a low population, we have even like a lower amount of medical professionals, nurses, doctors, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So wait times in emergency rooms on average are like 8 hours. That's pretty normal.
That's normal, right?
Just getting normal care it's just harder here. So you impose upon like that kind of population this type of mandate. What you're going to get is what's happening. A large portion of medical professionals are saying, we're not getting this vaccine, fire us.
Yep.
I've heard numbers upwards of 20% of nurses, doctors, CNAs, just you name it, they're all refusing to get this vaccine, and they're being fired. So I think we've already had like several nursing homes have to close down. I'm sure hospitals will be running scatterbrain from here on out, being understaffed.
Well, and the people who do work there, right? They're going to be worked to the bone.
Worked to the bone, yeah.
It's going to be crazy. And right now, people are moving and leaving areas and what's the word I'm looking for? Transplanting?
Yeah.
And like crazy. So for them, well, it's fine. I'll quit because it's ridiculous. And there are states that are honoring religious exemptions. I just read a story.
We just talked to someone in California who...
Yep.
Yeah.
Who is able to submit it. It just has to be an official request and exemption. And then I just heard even in the state of Washington, somebody was granted their religious exemption.
It's a pretty sad state when Maine is more liberal than
So sell
California.
your house, whatever, pick up, quit, leave. You have your credentials and licensing and degree and everything. Go to a state so it's sad mostly for all those people who need the medical care.
Yeah.
And for political reasons,
so
aren't going to get it.
This has led into conversations of falsifying vaccination records.
Right.
There are tons of people weighing in right now on this topic, asking the questions of, is it moral? Should Christians be falsifying documents? Is there ever a time where it's okay for Christians to lie?
To deceive, yeah.
Is there such a thing as righteous deception? And what should Christians do? And anyway, this is like
it's all wrapped up
swirling
together.
swirling tornado that I just feel like is ready to come down and wreak havoc upon society.
Yeah.
More than it already is. But so as we're sitting down in our vehicle, buckling up, talking about what we should talk about.
Yeah.
You have a loose hair.
Do I?
We were like, well, it's funny because I would like to go back and listen to what we had said a year and 4 months ago.
Yeah, back in like March of 2020.
But I'm pretty sure like everything we have said, we've been like pretty spot on with.
Yes.
Like we saw this coming and we predicted it. When the government gets power, they never release it. They always want more.
Right.
Sin always wants more. Always.
Yeah, sin is never satisfied.
It's insatiable. And I think this is where having a Christian worldview should actually help us when we think about things like this. Because if you believe that people are sinners by nature and choice, and unless redeemed by God, we are all going to die. Well, we are literally all going to die. Grant's taking a sharp turn here.
It's weird.
We're all going to die apart from God, and we are dying currently. Like, these people in this world, these governors, the president, like literally everyone who is apart from Christ, who is not in the covenant body, is dying.
Right.
Meaning, like, they are being influenced by death, which is why you see the fruits of their works being more death.
Yeah, and so what we saw immediately, before it was even mandated by the government, we saw Christians shutting down the one thing that offers life, and that was worship on Sunday morning,
right,
where the gospel of life would be preached and sung about and eaten,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Like, we saw that being shut down, and right away we were looking at each other like,
This is bad news.
this is bad. This means that there's going to be no pushback, because that is exactly where any hope would be found, right?
Yeah.
And then it became a mandate. Well, of course it became a mandate, because the church already gave it up. The church already told all of the government officials, here's a hill you're allowed to take. We're not going to die on this hill. we don't care. It's fine. We will go to Zoom.
We'll do whatever you say.
Do nothing, and then you do whatever you want. We will obey. We will comply.
We were so sure of this, just based on history and what we know of human nature, that this was going to go really bad for us.
Yeah.
That like Grant lost his job, and like a lot of bad things happened because we just refused to comply with stupid ideas and stupid rules.
Right.
And this is the problem. I'm gonna get worked up, but like this is the problem with the freaking evangelical church right now. Like, we need to stop listening to stupid rules. We need to stop it. We need to stop just going along with whatever they tell us to do. If they tell us to mask up, we mask up. If they tell us to stay away from church, then we stay away from church. Like, we have done this so many times that the government knows if they give us another rule, we're just going to fall in line.
Right.
Because we historically have done that. Every time they have given us a rule, we have just followed it.
Right. But we, as Christians, do not listen to or follow the wisdom of pagans.
And we know it's not wisdom. Like, that's the whole point of being a Christian, is you know what they have to offer is not
Folly.
wise.
Yeah.
Like, these medical professionals are the same people who can't even tell a girl from a boy. Like, that's something an infant can literally do. An infant knows where to go to nurse. They know their mother from their father. Like, they can tell a difference. If these are our scientists that are making medical decisions for us, then we should really stop and consider why we're listening to these idiots. Why are we listening to them? Everything they've told us is not true. It hasn't been true.
And on top of that is their presupposition that we are all spiritless, fleshy bags of water, where there's no purpose and meaning whatsoever. So the only driving force for them, and you clearly see this, is to survive.
Yeah.
Right? Because there is no life after that, fleshy bag of water stops buzzing about. It's all over. There's nothing beyond that. So surviving is literally all there is to them. And once you say that out loud, you go, oh, yep. You can clearly see that that's the driving force for all of it. There's no risk worthy, right? Everything's too much. Nope, shut down, lock down, put this in your body, do that. No, like, they will shut out all of life in order to save them from death.
Right.
Which doesn't make any sense. But
yeah, they won't live their life in order to preserve it, which is ironic because that's what non-believers do all the time. This is just a visual manifestation of that reality, I guess. But
yeah.
Anyway, but we were talking about too, because we just bought a house.
Yeah.
That there is a huge trend in the Reformed world, especially, to get into homesteading. And I'm not against homesteading. Actually, we were just talking about what we're going to do with our property. We don't have a lot of it, but what little bit we do have, how we're going to maximize it next spring, and all that sort of thing. But one scary thing that we have noticed in some homesteaders is this desire to just get out of the city, just get out
and
from
get away
civilization,
from
get away from people, hunker down, basically stock up your supplies and just stay out of the crazy because it's just getting wild.
Right.
Get your family out, get them safe, and then just hunker down and stay away. And Grant and I were talking about how that's what got us in this mess to begin with. That attitude is literally what got us to this place in society currently. Christians running away from the fight as opposed to engaging in it like they should have from the very beginning.
Yeah, and we were talking about how gaining independence is not wrong.
No.
So if you are, getting chickens and a cow and a big garden and whatever,
that's fine.
You're doing these things in order to just gain your own independence. That way you're not dependent upon even the grocery store down the street. If you could just provide for yourself in that way,
that's wisdom.
Then that's really wise, and especially with the shaky times that we're in, and it enables you to serve your neighbors.
Be generous.
And be generous with those in your church or whatever. But I've seen so many memes or statuses or whatever they were.
Well, it just talks in certain Facebook groups and stuff of people
just saying just that idea of like, I really wish I could just have 20 acres in the middle of nowhere and not a single person around, or like stuff like that. And I'm like, we are still called to disciple the nations regardless of what's going on in culture, government,
Right.
whatever.
I'm getting right here, I think.
All right, this guy's being nice.
Get some road construction.
Yep. So,
but it's true, and because Christians have decided they didn't want to engage in cultural matters,
right,
like a year and a half ago, we've gotten to this place.
Right.
Christians need to stop retreating, stop giving up land, stop giving up, all these hills that we said weren't worth dying on. Like, we don't have any hills left, y'all.
Yeah.
There are no more hills to die on. And if there are more hills, I'm really scared to know what they are, because it's probably something so terrible that we wouldn't even be able to consider what hill that hill would actually be.
Yeah. Well, and this general temperament is why it should be no surprise that the whole deconstruction movement is popular.
It's true.
Right? Because we don't have a construction idea when it comes to our faith. We just want to tear down and pick apart and pull apart and get away from it.
And these are all the problems. These are all the problems. This is all the inconsistencies.
Right.
This is the dirty underbelly of what's happening. And there is a lot. That's the thing with the deconstruction movement. There's a lot of bad stuff that happens in the church all of the time.
Right.
Hello, do we know that? There's a lot of bad stuff. There are a lot of bad people. There are a lot of bad pastors. There are a lot of bad elders.
But that means you build a good church. You don't leave church.
Yes, you don't retreat. You engage. Right. You build.
Right.
And we were saying, like, that's what men are called to do. Men are called to build societies. Yes. Men are called to build culture. Christian men are called to build a culture. So if you want to build a culture wherein you're independent and you can help feed your church, you are a Christian businessman and you are engaging in, your town and you're on city councils and like whatever, that's fine. That's great. Do that. What we're saying is, don't just retreat, hunker down to a cabin in the woods and wait for other more faithful men to build a culture that you find okay to live in and amongst.
That was super well said, babe. Very, very well said.
I'm just so weary of it. This topic, I don't know if it's just like everything happening in the world right now, but it makes me so frustrated.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, in the last year and a half or so, like, Abraham Kuyper and Christian worldview thinking has become pretty popular because people do want to figure out what is the true biblical relationship between church and state and between, Christians and their medical professionals and, all that kind of stuff. And the thing is we should have been wanting to learn all that before.
Right.
We should have done the time and put in the effort to develop a Christian worldview as it pertains to government,
right, our
medical decisions and school education decisions and all that kind of stuff way before there's a crisis or before there's an emergency.
This is another frustrating part of what's happening right now, and I know Cross Politic just covered this, and this isn't an isolated incident. This is a lot of pastors, but they were talking about Lehman. And if anyone remembers, during the pandemic, Lehman, who works for 9 Marks, right? He's their... but I don't know what
he's a part of that crew.
I don't know what he does, but somehow he works for them, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, he put out a blog stating that, like, the best way to love your neighbor is by not going to church, blah. And
it was partly in rebuttal to John MacArthur, who boldly opened his church against government guidelines and all that kind of stuff. And then Jonathan Lehman, seeing so many people emboldened by MacArthur,
was angry,
wrote his piece and discouraged people from following him.
Yes. So that was, I don't even know, like sometime last year.
Yeah,
that happened.
And he was saying, like, we're meeting outside and it's perfectly fine.
Basically, he was upset that, like, John MacArthur was more manly than he was.
Yes, he
That's
was.
really what it was. Now, recently, in the last couple weeks or so, Lehman put out another article saying, it's important to go to church. We need to open up our church buildings. Yeah. Why are these buildings still closed? Why are we not meeting together? It's a sin to neglect the gathering of the brethren. And, like, it's like a complete 180 without any repentance. And I loved what
Right.
Cross Politic was talking about. Like, he came to the right conclusion, but without any repentance, which
Yeah.
is still wrong.
Yeah. He needs to publicly say, this view I had was wrong, and now this is my view.
And dangerous,
now
yeah.
this is what I'm encouraging you to do.
Which he hasn't done.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is there is, I think, a lot of that in the church right now. A lot of pastors, a lot of churches who made stupid decisions a year ago, or 8 months ago, or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Who realized it was a bad call. Who realized, like, oh, I shouldn't have closed my building. I shouldn't have made my people wear a mask. I shouldn't have done all these things. I shouldn't have catered to the fusser. I shouldn't have done all these things that have got me into this really, really bad spot as a pastor now. They realized all that was bad. So now they want to go a different direction. And some of them may be doing that. And maybe some of them are seeing some fruit from that even. But without repentance.
Yeah.
And the problem that still lies beneath all of that is the sin of pride. And until that sin is crucified, we're going to still see ugly fruit come from those types of churches and those kinds of pastors. And I think, I'm trying to think, I lost my train of thought, sorry.
Yeah, but like God, are you good? Did you get it
No,
back?
go ahead.
I was just going to say that you can't expect, and really it's a mockery to God to expect him to bless your ministries and to grow and to become stronger and all that sort of thing when there hasn't been repentance. Like, I just don't see where in scripture
Got my thought back.
you could get that.
Yes, what you said is true. So goes the church, so goes the culture. One of the frustrating things that we've seen this year are government officials changing their mind every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, first it's wear a mask, then we shouldn't wear a mask because that's bad and we don't have enough for the medical professionals. And then we love our medical professionals and they're heroes, we'll throw them a parade, and now we're firing them if they don't get the vaccine. And we should trust the medical professionals, and if they say we should get a vaccine, we should obey them, but not the 20% who's refusing to get the vaccine. Those medical professionals are not worthy to listen to. They're dumb and ignorant, even though they have the same education as all of the other doctors and nurses. So, like, all of this is just insane to me. It makes no plausible sense. But you look at that confusion and you say, well, the same confusion exists in churches. The same type of, like, scatterbrained, pendulum swinging, first it's black, then it's white, like, craziness is happening in so many churches. These pastors are saying one thing and then doing another, or we're holding to one extreme position, and then because that didn't work out so well for them, they'll turn and go the opposite direction, hoping that actually pans out better.
Yeah. Well,
and you think, no, like, this is crazy. All of this is craziness.
What's the definition of insanity, right? There needs to be repentance.
There needs to be repentance. And repentance obviously should start in the church. It should start top down, right? It should start with pastors and then trickle down to the other leadership, fathers in the home. Like, if you have been leading, we were just at the pond, as the locals say, the other day. And it was, this does tie in with what we're talking about. But we were at this pond, it was hot. And so we took the kids to the pond, and there was a bunch of people there, but there was one father with, like, a couple kids.
Yeah.
And of course he was the loudest father. They had all the beach toys. They had this massive inflatable unicorn or whatever it was. I don't even know.
Flamingo or something.
Something like that.
It was really nice.
But of course, like, they're having a ball, and then some of the other little kids wanted to come and play.
One kid came over.
And he was like, no, we're social distancing
we're still social distancing.
Sorry.
Maybe some other time.
Basically telling the child to go away from him.
You have got to be joking me.
But with fathers like that, who are in charge of their homes, leading from fear, you think he needs to repent.
Yes.
You are in a public place with people in a disgusting pond, and you're scared of a small child.
Yeah.
That you're swimming 3 feet next to. Like, it's just so illogical. But then, like, it's easy for us to look on and say, well, he's confused, so that's going to be breeding confusion in his home.
Yeah. It's going to breed defeat in his home from wherever he because he's living in fear rather than courage or wisdom, true wisdom.
Yep. I've been talking a lot because this topic gets me going, but you can talk for a second.
I think it was, I saw someone quote this again. It's quoted a lot. I think originally it's Henry Van Til. I think it's Cornelius Van Til's nephew. But anyway, he's the one that said that a culture is its religion externalized.
Mm-hmm.
Culture is religion externalized, and that's what we're seeing, which is why we're saying you need to call the church to repentance. This has to start with the church. We need to beat on the church. Like this is the thing, is it's too easy. Doug Wilson talks about this with preaching. He says it's too easy to just point out all the problems outside of your church.
Yeah.
If you like, the heat goes up when you start calling out the sins of the people actually in the room.
Right. No one likes that.
No, and so that
can get you fired fast.
But that is what we need to do. And as soon as Christians start actually taking the Bible seriously, they start actually living their lives like the Bible has authority in our life, and that it just says what it says about gender roles and about how God works in the world and how God has set up things in the world. When the church starts doing that, that will cause Reformation.
Mm-hmm.
That is what started the Reformation 500 years ago.
Right.
Was people taking the Bible seriously again.
Being consistent.
Yeah, and then living in light of it.
That's
just literally following Christian stuff. Just talking like a Christian.
And this is something that we have seen more and more. Like, if you take the average Christian family and you just look at their daily routines, and then you were to take a random, like, non-believing family and look at their daily routines, most of the time it's identical.
Yeah.
There's nothing actually different on the daily that a Christian family does in America versus what a non-Christian family does in America. Right. Typically, it's almost identical. Maybe on Sunday they go to church.
If the only difference is that the Christian family doesn't sleep in on Sunday, if that's the only difference, something's wrong.
Something's very, very wrong. But we have noticed that. Like, their education, their children's education doesn't look any different.
Mm-hmm.
What a woman does in her home doesn't look any different than a non-Christian. Right? She's still working 9 to 5. Her kids are still in a public school, and I could go on and on and on about what her home looks like and how. Anyway, I won't. But this is the one where Ericha gets upset about all the things. Apparently,
I think we should go back to or progress to the righteous deception.
Okay.
Topic, because we kind of brought that up.
Very close to our car that made me kind of nervous.
And I think you're right. Like we kind of called this out a year and a half ago that this is where this leads, and that's exactly happened. They don't stop.
I want to see. Can I flip the camera or no?
Yeah, right there. Just touch that
see.
up there. There you go, guys.
To see
the podcast. I'm totally sorry, but
just look how beautiful that is. I don't know if you can tell on the camera.
The mountains way back there.
There's like some mountainous terrain way back there.
Good.
It's good.
All right,
it's pretty.
Maine is beautiful, guys.
It's so pretty.
So, James Jordan is fantastic when it comes to teaching about righteous deception. So, if you want to look up James B. Jordan, Righteous Deception, some of his stuff is stellar.
You will do well to just study him rather than listening to us, because
just in general. Just in general on
it's true,
anything.
Just in general in life. Listen to him, not us.
But and I'll just kind of use what he teaches in Genesis as a segue into this. The story of Abraham going down to Egypt, and he lies, well, and it's actually not even a lie, he's deceptive though, and says that Sarah is his sister.
And Sarah was his sister.
And Sarah was, but he just left out that she was also his wife.
Right.
And as a kid, I'm taught this story that he goes down there, and then I can't remember if it's just King or they give him a name. I'm not going to say a wrong name to give you something false. But anyway, right, God comes to him when he's sleeping and says, you're about to take this man's wife. And he's like, what? I didn't know it was his wife. And he's all hopping mad at Abraham and says, you almost got me into big trouble. And Abraham's like, she is my sister. But we're taught as a kid that, Abraham wasn't faithful, he lied, and that's why things didn't really work out. And James Jordan points out that why would we let the pagan frame the story?
Mm-hmm.
Abraham didn't do anything wrong. He was protecting his wife and whoever else was with him by what he did. He was being shrewd and wise, and technically he didn't lie. But he was being shrewd in a righteous way. He's the righteous person in the story, right? Isn't Abram the faithful and righteous one who has believed God and is following God and all those kinds of things? Like, why would we ever let the Egyptian of the story
be the hero?
Be the hero and tell us who Abraham is.
Keeps everyone from great sin. It's the Egyptian.
Right. And every time this happens to Abraham comes out blessed, like on the back end too. Like everything goes well for him. Like, don't you think God would have disciplined him in some way?
And it's funny because all the Christians who are super against lying are against, or would not be against, like
deception.
Anne Frank, or like the help me with words and stuff.
Anne Frank, she's the one that was hiding Jews during the
she went in her walls
Holocaust.
and stuff.
Yeah.
They, like, no one would look at her.
And there's many examples of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. The examples that I can't think of currently.
Like Christians bringing Bibles into China.
Thank you.
Posing as businessmen. They're being deceptive. They're not. And there's a line there between shrewdness and deceiving versus bearing false witness in the court of law or something. You know what I mean? Like.
Well, and I guess that's a good qualifier, perhaps. Like, are you bearing false witness against your neighbor? Because that would be breaking up the 10th commandment, right?
Yeah, 9th. Is it 10th?
Of the 10 commandments.
Oh,
that's what I meant to say.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. So there's an example from early on in church history, and I think it's the 200s. One of the Roman emperors, which we all know that Christians were martyred very often because they would not pinch the incense and declare Caesar as Lord, because Jesus is the only Lord. And this was a form of pagan worship in the Roman Empire, and so Christians refused to do this religious act and were often persecuted and even put to death for this. Well, during it was one of the emperors, I can't remember the name, I think it was in the 200s, but he required that everyone carry a certificate that stated they had done their religious practice of pinching the incense. And Roman soldiers at any time could check them, could say, hey, let me see your papers, or you're coming into the city, or whatever it was. It became a way that you can check if they're a compliant, obedient citizen. Well, Christians, some refused even that, and that's fine too. And they would be persecuted for that, and they just never pinched incense. They never bought, it's called a libellus. They never bought a libellus or anything. But many Christians on the black market found those who would copy a libellus and give them a libellus for a small fee, I guess, or whatever. And so a Roman soldier would ask them, hey, let me see your libellus, and they would show it to them.
So all this to say, what exactly?
Right. So that's, I think, a cool story of how Christians have found ways to be shrewd in order to just deceive the enemy, but still...
so biblically and historically, you've seen Christians...
be shrewd, be deceptive in a righteous way in order to still serve the kingdom, right?
Yes.
Because we don't all want to just be like shoved out of our cities or shoved out of our neighborhoods and our communities. We love where we're at, most of us, and we want to serve God there. And if that requires us to be a little shrewd to the governing authorities around us, then I think that's righteous.
And
there's a way
quite
to do
possibly going to be the most responsible course of action for some.
Right.
Our frustration, so obviously, like, we're pro faking out the government.
Yeah.
In many ways, actually, not just
When
that way.
it comes to this ungodly stuff like this, like mandating.
There's a lot of ungodly things the government does that I think we should probably be a little bit more shrewd with.
True.
But that's another podcast. What was I going to say? I keep losing my train of thought. I think that's a sign of
beautiful
something. Lots of distractions and lots of things on the brain.
All right.
But I was just going to say that the thing that we're frustrated with is still a lot of Christians just jumping in on this fake vaccine passport and still not wanting to fight against it. Like, I'm okay if in one hand you're saying, I will take that fake vaccine passport so I'm able to do stuff, right? I'm able to work, I'm able to whatever. Like, do it. I think you should.
Yeah.
Also, on the other hand, you should be actively trying to push back against this kind of darkness.
Right.
It can't be like, I'll just take the fake vaccine passport and run off to the mountains where I'll just fend for myself and never look at another human being until everything is fixed in the world.
Yeah. Or that you're not being kingdom-minded in doing and getting a fake vaccine passport, right? Like, you're doing it only for selfish reasons, and only you know in your own heart of hearts between you and God.
I don't think it's wrong though if like you do get a fake vaccine passport for selfish reasons. Like, if what you are calling selfish is to be employed or buy food or like, I think you need to be wise. I think it was Doug Wilson who said, like, don't get a fake vaccine passport so you can take your family on vacation at Disney World.
Right.
Like, that's just stupid. But if for very practical, personal reasons you need to get one, I don't think that you should feel guilty or wrong about that.
And that's exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we anti-vax?
No.
We're not.
Nope, we're not.
I'm someone forcing me. That's what I'm anti.
Coercion is not consent.
Yes, exactly. We said that many times in the protest. Right. So that's the deal here. I've had plenty of people push back on things I've posted, and they don't believe that we're not anti-vax.
We are probably becoming increasingly more anti-vax.
More
every day.
Skeptical, right?
More skeptical. So one thing that you'll know about Grant and I, pretty quick if you follow along the podcast, is we just don't trust the government very well. And this is having worked for the government for 10 years. Yeah, like Grant was employed by them. And I'm gonna be honest, that didn't actually instill much faith in them.
No.
Like, the closer you get to like government entities, the more you realize like you shouldn't trust them actually, because they don't know what they're doing. Most of the time they don't know what they're doing, and they do things in the most inconvenient, illogical manner for stupid reasons.
Yeah, and those that are truly doing their work for the people are very, 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 very few.
That's not to say there aren't good soldiers.
No, there aren't. That's what I'm saying.
Cops. There aren't good politicians. There are.
But as far as top politicians, top generals, top whatever, more often than not, they are looking out for themselves.
Well, they're looking to get the next rank, typically.
Right.
Yep. So.
That's just my 2 cents. Take it or leave it.
Anyway. This became very ranty.
Yeah, we can end with an encouragement. Like, for you, look back on the last year and a half and kind of see what was the trend that happened. Did you expect it? Do you
remember the dot-to-dot coloring books? They were called dot-to-dot, and you would connect like by number, like 1 to 2, 2 to 3.
That's how I could draw
and
anything.
You could draw a line or whatever, and then at the end of the dot-to-dot, you like saw a picture of like what actually was on the page. I feel like that's what Christians need to like stop and start doing. Start doing the dot-to-dot, the connection. Start drawing out that picture. Start filling in the lines. Because if you do, what you're going to see is a whole lot of bad.
Yeah, it's going to draw Satan is what it's going to draw.
Something. It's bad.
It's going to draw Fauci's face.
Yeah, exactly. And Pocket's line. It's bad. Just consider like everything you've been told and then how accurate it is.
Right.
And then if you are going to a church, heaven forbid, where your pastor hasn't repented for a stance that he took that was wrong, or if you are going to a church that is still closed or is requiring you to be segregated because you won't wear a mask or because you won't get a vaccine, or heaven forbid, a church that is still online only, find a different church. And I don't say that like with much joy. And I know that there are, in certain parts of the world, like in Canada, especially right now,
Yeah.
there aren't many churches.
There aren't a lot of options.
Yeah,
Period.
it's just. But then perhaps there need to be godly men who start good churches.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a lot more of that happening, a lot more church planting happening, and another thing that should be happening, and I forgot what it is. I was gonna say it. Now you.
This is what happens. This is what happens when you're driving and
I'm
you
worried
have
about
like
this
16 things going on in your mind
Dump
at
truck
once
ahead
while
of
you're
me.
trying to drive. Yeah.
I was gonna say this. Another thing that we can be encouraged by, which, again, it's not great that they didn't start out well, but there have been a lot of pastors and churches who, at whatever point of all this, did wake up and realize that everything is not as it seems.
There are some,
Yeah.
but I still think that they need to repent.
Yeah.
Publicly.
And maybe they have. I'm just saying
Yes.
there are plenty of churches that were going one way, and then all of a sudden it was like, hold on, nope, I'm done with this. The government just, reached even further, into my life, just laid another burden, and that was it. And there are people that are, kind of waking up to that, and so I don't want to. I want to at least
Well, and we're post-mill,
be encouraged by that.
so
Right.
we believe that God is building his kingdom, even in the midst of all of this
Yep.
smattering of bad.
Right.
Like, there's still a work of God being done here.
Yeah.
And this is why we believe people shouldn't retreat. This is why we believe you should be shrewd and wise. If you're able to build something, build it. If you're able to plant a church, plant it. If you're able to be a Christian homesteader who is able to feed people who lost their jobs because they wouldn't get them,
or a business owner that's not going to require their employees to be vaccinated, wear this, do that, or whatever, because they want to extend freedom to their employees.
But we are post-mill. We believe God wins in the end. We believe everything belongs to Jesus, and
God's not done. If he
He's
was
not done.
Jesus would be back.
but that is going to look like a whole bunch of Christians who don't retreat. It's going to look like a whole bunch of Christians who actually believe that there is a mission yet to be accomplished, and start getting their hands dirty and stop pretending like they can stick their fingers in their ears and do the la 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 thing.
Exactly.
And everything will just fix itself.
Right. Awesome. We hope that all of this was helpful to you.
This is sponsored by Dunkin'.
Yeah, we've run on. This was fueled by Dunkin'.
Maybe a pumpkin spice latte was a bad choice for already hyped up topic.
Always a good choice. All right.
We are currently in Bangor, so we gotta go.
Yep, we need to go. Hit the like button right now. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share this with a friend if you think that it would be beneficial to them. Go to the merch store, buy some stuff. All the things, guys. Thanks you. That's good.
That's how we're just gonna say thanks you.
Bye,
Thanks
guys.
you.
But on the basis of grace and on the finished work of Jesus Christ, the project is back and forth, and the destiny of a new transformed world is assured.